That was the thought that ran through my mind the day I realized Amina had blocked me. Her name, her face, her messages, gone from my phone like she'd never existed. But she had. She'd been everything once. My best friend since we were 6 years old. The girl who knew which snacks I hid in my school bag, who sat beside me under the banyan tree after every exam, swearing we'd always have each other's backs. And now she'd erased me. It wasn't anger that hit me first. It was confusion. The kind that makes your chest feel hollow. I scrolled through our last conversation again and again, trying to see if I'd said something wrong, something that justified disappearing like that. But I hadn't. All I'd done was help her, support her, believe in her when no one else did. And maybe that was my mistake. Back then, before all this mess, my life was simple. I lived in a small apartment above my tailoring shop. The smell of freshly pressed fabric always clung to my hands, a mix of starch and lavender detergent. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine, built stitch by stitch after years of saving. Mornings began the same way every day. Chai simmering on the stove, radio humming an old love song, and my mother downstairs calling out to the neighborhood kids as they passed by. Study hard. Don't end up lazy like my daughter, she'd tease. Even though she was proud, I could hear it in her laugh. Life had a rhythm then, not perfect but peaceful. Until one afternoon, out of nowhere, I got a message from Amina. It had been nearly 7 years since we'd last spoken. The last I knew, she'd left our town to study marketing in Karachi, then drifted off into the blur of social media posts, filtered smiles, city lights, captions about chasing dreams. I'd watched quietly from afar, happy for her but also left behind. We were supposed to chase those dreams together, once. So when her name flashed on my phone that day, my heart skipped. Amina, hey stranger. Long time. Can we talk? I remember sitting down on my sewing stool, hands trembling slightly. I typed back, too fast probably. Me, of course. It's been forever. How are you? She replied almost instantly, like she'd been waiting. Amina, not great. Can I come see you? Need a favor, just for a while. That night I couldn't sleep. My mind was racing. What could she need from me after all these years? I cleaned my little shop twice over, rearranged the spools of thread by color, even baked a small cake like the ones we used to eat after school. When she arrived the next day, I barely recognized her. Gone was the girl with messy braids and scraped knees. In her place stood a woman in a beige suit, sleek ponytail, city confidence. But when she smiled, that same crooked smile, it was like no time had passed. Rita, she said softly, opening her arms. You haven't changed a bit. I laughed, though I knew I had. I'd grown quieter, more careful. But I didn't want her to see that. We spent hours catching up, or rather, I listened while she spoke. About her job that had gone sour, the boss who'd fired her unfairly, the rent she couldn't pay, and how her friends in Karachi had vanished when she lost her shine. I just need a place to breathe, she said finally, her eyes glassy. Just for a few weeks. I'll find something soon. I didn't even hesitate. Stay here, I said. You don't need to worry. And that was it. A decision made in kindness, or maybe nostalgia, that would slowly unravel everything I'd built. At first, it felt like old times. We'd make late-night tea, laugh over old teachers' names, play those silly guessing games we used to. She filled the silence in my life with color again. She even started helping around the shop, chatting with customers, snapping photos of my dresses. You should post these online, she told me one afternoon. You're talented, Rita. The world should see it. I shrugged. I don't even know where to start. Let me handle it, she said, her voice bubbling with excitement. I studied marketing, remember? And that's how it began, my small tailoring shop turning into something I never imagined. She created an Instagram page, took bright photos, added captions full of emojis and hashtags. Orders started trickling in from new customers. Then dozens. Then hundreds. I'd never seen my work reach people like that. And I couldn't stop smiling. Every evening, as I stitched under the yellow glow of the shop light, Amina sat nearby, laptop open, telling me about new marketing ideas, brand deals, even potential investors. You're going to be big one day, she said one night. You'll thank me when Vogue calls. We laughed, but somewhere inside, I did start to believe her. By the end of that month, she had become the face of our little shop. Customers loved her confidence, the way she spoke, smooth, professional, urban. I didn't mind. I was happy just to see her smiling again. But sometimes when people came in, they'd say, "Oh, are you Amina's assistant?" She'd laugh it off before I could correct them. It stung, but I told myself it's fine. She's helping. We're a team. Still something about her tone, her ease with credit that wasn't hers. It unsettled me. Late one night, after we'd locked up, I noticed she'd taken the shop's receipts upstairs. I asked gently, "Need help balancing the books?" She froze for a moment, then smiled. "Just organizing. Don't worry, Rita, I've got this." Her tone was light, but her eyes didn't meet mine. That was the first small crack. Barely noticeable. But once you see a crack, you can't unsee it. The next few weeks felt different. Not bad, just off. Amina began waking up earlier than me, which was unusual. I'd hear her voice through the thin walls, soft but hurried, talking on the phone before sunrise. Sometimes English, sometimes a mix of Urdu and something clipped and businesslike. When I'd ask, she'd smile too quickly. "Oh, just a supplier," she'd say, pouring herself chai. "Networking never sleeps." I wanted to believe her. I really did. After all, she'd brought my shop to life. Orders were coming in faster than I could sew. She'd started calling it our business. Our little empire, she'd say with a grin. But lately, our felt more like hers. One afternoon, a woman came by asking for Amina designs. I laughed awkwardly. "Oh, you mean Rita's tailor shop?" She looked confused. No, the one from Instagram. Amina's page. She makes custom dresses." The words caught in my throat. I quickly showed her my work table, my fabric rolls, my half-finished orders. But the woman's expression softened, almost pitying. "I must have mixed it up," she said. "Sorry for the trouble." After she left, I sat down in the empty shop, my heart thudding. Amina's page? That night, while she was in the shower, I opened Instagram. I typed her name in the search bar. And there it was. At Amina Designs Official. A glossy page full of my dresses, my shop, my creations, but not my name. Every caption read something like, "Proud of what we're building at Amina Designs, bespoke Pakistani fashion with heart." She hadn't mentioned me once. My hands trembled as I scrolled. The page had thousands of followers, people praising her talent, her vision, her designs. And the comments? "She's such an inspiration. I love your aesthetic, Amina. When is your next launch?" I should have confronted her right then. But I didn't. Instead, I sat there, staring at the screen until the light blurred through my tears. When she came out of the bathroom, towel around her shoulders, she smiled like nothing was wrong. "You okay? You look tired." "I've fine, I murmured. Just a long day." I wanted to scream, but something in me froze, a mix of disbelief and fear. What if I was overreacting? What if it really was just marketing? The next morning, I convinced myself to give her the benefit of the doubt. I tried watching her more closely, small things. How she'd take photos, how she'd avoid showing my face in them, how she'd insist on answering customer messages herself. Once I asked her, "Why don't you tag the shop's account anymore?" She looked up sharply. "Oh, because the algorithm works better if everything's under one name. Don't worry, it's for both of us." Her tone was confident, firm, like she'd rehearsed it. And I let it go. Again. But the tension kept growing, quiet and steady. I began noticing how her phone never left her side. Even at dinner, she'd angle it face down. She'd take calls in the stairwell. Sometimes when I passed by, I'd catch words like investor, orders, shipment. Things she never mentioned to me. Then one day, a courier arrived. He handed me a box addressed to Amina Khan, founder, Amina Designs. When I opened it, I found fabric samples, imported, expensive. The kind I'd never dare to order on my small budget. Attached was a printed invoice. My shop's address, but her name and her business logo on top. That logo, it was my handwriting. She'd taken my old sketch, the one I doodled years ago for fun, and turned it into her brand mark. I sat there holding that paper, my eyes burning. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. This was calculated. That night, when she came home, I tried to speak. Amina, I began, keeping my voice steady. I saw the Instagram page. The invoices too. I just want to understand. What's happening? She didn't look surprised. She sighed, dropped her bag on the sofa, and rubbed her temples. Rida, please. Don't make this into drama. I told you from the start, this is teamwork. Teamwork. My voice cracked. Then why is your name on everything? Her tone shifted, colder now. Because that's what people respond to. I have the connections, the education. You're the craft, I'm the face. It's business. Business. That word hit harder than any insult could. I'd thought we were rebuilding a friendship. She'd been building a brand. I didn't say another word that night. I just nodded, pretending to understand. But when I went to bed, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying her words in my mind, each one sharper than the last. I'm the face. You're the craft. That's when I realized I wasn't her partner. I was her stepping stone. And she was already climbing. The next morning, she left early again, her perfume lingering in the hallway long after the door shut. I stared at the empty teacups on the table and thought to myself, I've lost her twice now, once to distance, and once to greed. But this time, I wasn't going to just fade quietly. It was about a week later when the truth finally came crashing down. The shop had been busier than ever, mostly because of her online promotions. People came from nearby towns just to see Amina's new line. I'd sew for hours until my fingers ached, but every smile that crossed her face made the pain worth it. Or so I told myself. Then one afternoon, a young woman walked in with a printed screenshot in her hand. Excuse me, she said politely. I just wanted to check on my order. I paid full advance through your website last month, but no one's responding to my emails. Website? I blinked. We don't have a website. Just Instagram. Her eyes widened. But, she turned her phone toward me. There it was again, aminadesigns.com, displaying my work, my photos, my shop address, but nowhere did it mention me. I felt my stomach twist. I apologized and took her number, promising to look into it. When Amina came back that evening, I was waiting, the screenshot open on my phone, the air thick with silence. Amina, I said, my voice trembling, what is this? She didn't even glance at it at first. She just brushed past me, setting her bag down. Oh, that? Just a temporary landing page. It's part of the branding plan. Branding? I echoed. You took my photos, my work, and made a fake website under your name? Fake, she scoffed. Rida, please stop being so dramatic. I told you this is business. You don't understand how these things work. Her calmness, that dismissive little smirk, made something snap inside me. I don't understand, I said. I've worked 16-hour days for this shop. Every stitch, every client, every design, I made them. You came here asking for help, Amina. And now you're selling my work as your own. She looked up, her face hardening. I didn't ask you to help me. You offered. Don't guilt me for taking an opportunity when it came. Her words hit me like a slap. I stared at her. This woman who once sat beside me eating mango slices in the summer heat, who swore we'd always stay the same. Where had she gone? We argued for nearly an hour. My voice cracked from holding back tears. Hers stayed steady, sharp, professional, like she'd rehearsed every defense. At one point she even said, Rida, don't be naive. You're good at what you do, but without me no one would know you exist. You should thank me. I felt my knees weaken. I sank into my chair, trying to catch my breath. Thank you. I whispered. You're using me, Amina. Her tone softened, falsely sweetly. I'm not using you. I'm helping you grow. But if you want to throw all this away because of ego, fine. I'll leave. I didn't stop her that night. I couldn't. I sat there in the shop, surrounded by half-finished dresses and tangled threads, feeling like a fool. The next few days were quiet, too quiet. She moved her things out without a word. Her laughter vanished from the halls. The teacups stayed clean. I tried focusing on work, but something felt wrong. Customers stopped coming. Orders slowed. I checked Instagram, Her page was still active, thriving. She hadn't just left me. She'd taken everything with her. My old customers were commenting under her posts, thinking they were supporting us both. I tried messaging a few of them privately, explaining the truth, but they didn't believe me. Amina had already changed the narrative. She told people I'd decided to take a break from the business, that she was continuing our shared dream. I didn't even know where to begin fixing it. Then one morning, I got a call from a supplier I'd worked with for years. "Madam Rida," he said gently, "just confirming, do we still deliver fabric to Amina Designs or cancel the account? She said you sold her the shop." "Sold her?" I nearly dropped the phone. "No, I didn't sell her anything," I managed to say. "She lied to you." The silence on the other end told me everything. He didn't know what to believe either. When I hung up, my hands were shaking so badly I had to sit down. That was the moment it all became real. This wasn't just betrayal. It was theft. That evening, I walked to her new boutique. I'd found the address through her social media post. A grand opening invitation full of glitter and fake humility. "Grateful to everyone who believed in me," the caption said. Not a single mention of me. Her new shop was lit up like a wedding stage. Fairy lights, floral arches, a printed banner that read. I stood across the street, watching her pose for photos, surrounded by smiling influencers. And there it was, my designs displayed proudly on mannequins. Even my handwriting was printed on her tags. Something in me went cold. I waited until the crowd thinned and stepped inside. She saw me instantly. Her smile faltered, then returned like armor. "Rida," she said brightly. "You came. I didn't expect you to. You stole my work." I cut in quietly. Her face hardened, but she kept the fake smile for the few people still browsing. "Let's not do this here." "Oh, we will," I said, my voice low but steady. "Every single dress in this shop was made by me. Every client you have came from my labor. You used me." The customers nearby looked up, whispering. Amina's jaw tightened. She leaned closer and hissed, "Keep your voice down. You'll embarrass yourself." I met her eyes. "No, Amina. You already did that for me." Then I turned and walked out, trembling, breath shaking, but lighter somehow. That night, she called me over and over. I didn't answer. By morning, her calls stopped. Her messages vanished. When I tried to open her Instagram, it said user not found. She had blocked me. Just like that, 7 years of friendship, a lifetime of memories, gone behind a digital wall. And I finally understood. She never came back because she missed me. She came back because she needed me. And once she got what she wanted, I was disposable. That I didn't cry that day. I just sat in my shop, listening to the hum of the sewing machine and the soft ticking of the clock. The silence was heavy, but it was honest. I thought to myself, maybe losing her wasn't the worst thing. Maybe it was seeing who she truly was. After that night, my world slowed down, painfully, but peacefully. The shop grew quiet again. The doorbell barely chimed anymore. The smell of starch and freshly ironed cloth replaced by dust and still air. Some people whispered about what had happened. Others avoided asking, pretending they didn't notice how Amina's boutique had stolen my light. I could have fought back, filed a legal claim, gone online, started a public feud. But honestly, I didn't have the heart. I wasn't built for shouting matches and scandals. I was built for stillness, patience, and small, honest work. But pain has a way of guiding you when anger can't. So instead of burning everything down, I started over, quietly. I deleted every old post, took down my faded sign, and made a new one. It felt small, even fragile, but it was mine again. The first few weeks were hard. I barely made enough to cover rent. But then something strange happened. People started showing up. Not because of ads or influencers, but because of word of mouth. A customer I'd once made a wedding dress for came by and said softly, "We heard what happened, Rida. We believe in you." She brought her cousin. Her cousin brought a friend. Soon, the shop began to fill again. Not with glamour, but with trust. I realized something important. While Amina had taken my name, she could never take my integrity. Still, a part of me couldn't help wondering what had become of her. Months passed. I didn't check her page, didn't ask mutual friends. I tried to let it go, but one evening, while scrolling through my feed, a video appeared in the suggestions. It was from a popular vlogger, someone reviewing local boutiques. The title caught my eye. My thumb hovered over the screen. When I pressed play, I wasn't ready for what I saw. The vlogger spoke about dozens of customers who had been scammed, dresses that never arrived, payments taken without delivery, designs copied from others. The comments were flooded with angry emojis and stories from disappointed clients. In one clip, a reporter tried to interview Amina outside her store. She looked different, tired, thinner, her eyes darting around nervously. "It was a misunderstanding," she kept saying. "My suppliers failed me." But the truth was written across her face. She'd built an empire on deception, and it was crumbling just as fast. Within days, her social media accounts disappeared. The boutique closed. The sign was taken down. And that was it, silence. I should have felt vindicated. I should have smiled and said, "She got what she deserved." But I didn't. All I felt was a deep, aching sadness. The kind you feel when a chapter ends, not with closure, but with loss. One evening, as I was locking up the shop, I found a small envelope tucked under the door. My name, handwritten in familiar looping letters. My hands trembled as I opened it. "Rita, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, or even your attention. You were my home when I had nowhere to go. I used that kindness to build something I thought would finally make me somebody. But it all fell apart because it was never really mine. I wanted to be seen, to be admired. The way I thought you deserved to be all those years. But somewhere along the way, I stopped seeing you as a friend and started seeing you as a ladder. I'm sorry, Rita. Truly. Amina." I sat on the floor of my shop, the letter trembling in my hands, and cried. Not for what I lost, but for what we both could have been if greed hadn't poisoned her heart. Forgiveness didn't come instantly. It came slowly like dawn, soft, cautious healing. Months turned into a year. By then my shop had grown again. Not huge, not fancy, but steady. I had 2 apprentices, both young girls from my neighborhood. I taught them not just how to sew, but how to honor their craft, their name, their truth. Sometimes I'd see them scrolling through Instagram, their eyes full of dreams. I'd smile and say, "Chase success, but don't lose your soul along the way." They'd laugh, not fully understanding yet. But one day they will. One afternoon, while drinking tea with my mother, she asked, "Do you still think about her?" I paused. "Sometimes," I said honestly, "but not with anger anymore. Just memory." My mother nodded. "That's good. Anger keeps the wound open. Let it close, beta." And I realized that's what healing truly means. Not forgetting, but remembering without the pain. A few months later, I walked past the street where Amina's boutique used to be. The space was now a bookstore. The glass windows reflected the sun. And for a moment, I saw my own face there, calm, older, peaceful. In that reflection, I didn't see the woman who'd been betrayed. I saw the woman who had survived it. I whispered to myself, "You can't lose what was never yours to keep." And for the first time in a long time I smiled. People often think betrayal breaks you. But the truth is, it reveals you. It shows you who you were when you gave too much, who you became when you were broken, and who you choose to be after you rise. I chose peace. Ich chose truth. Because while Amina's success was built on illusion, mine, slow, quiet, imperfect, was built on honesty. And that's something no one can steal. When I think back now, I don't feel bitterness, only gratitude. Because sometimes, God lets people use us, not to destroy us, but to teach us who we really are. If you've ever helped someone who turned around and hurt you, if you've ever been ghosted by someone you loved like family, just remember, you didn't lose them, they lost you. Would you have forgiven her? If you were me? Tell me in the comments below. And if this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe for more true stories like this. Stories of love, loss, and the quiet strength that helps us rise again. Crescent Moon.